Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Friday, February 6th, I think. Yep, 6th. Afternoon version of Softball Grandpa. Um, Rich alcoholic addict. Um, let's talk about um, love and let's talk about depression. You know, um, so what's the definition of love? Doing something for somebody else for fun and for free because you want to, with no expectation in return. Now, I was taught by my first sponsor, Ed Kursky, God rest his soul, wise old man, been around the program for many years, and yeah, I guess he read a lot, and I think that's where it's important for sponsorship uh, in the program of the 12 steps that the people that walk in front of us, some of them are educated and they've read a lot. They've educated themselves on life and on how to deal with life, And one of the things he asked me one day, he says, "Do you love your kids?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, and then he says, "Do you tell them that you love them?" You say, "I love you?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "What would you do if they said, prove it?" How do you prove that you love somebody? Think about that. Just let that ponder for a minute. How do you prove that you love somebody? The quick answer is you can't. You can't prove it. Because when somebody says that they love you, or you say, "I love you," what you're telling or what they're saying is that they love the feeling they have when they're with you. So um, think about it. They love it. When you say, if you're your girlfriend, wife, I'll say, for example, my second wife, the mother of my children. Um, well, when I first met her, what's a girl like that doing in a place like this, and I fell in love, and when I look back on it, if she was to ask me, prove it, if I love you, if she would have said, prove it, I would have been screwed because you can't, I can't, you buy flowers, sure, that's it's an act of a purchase, but that's, monetary, love you can't really touch, can you? Maybe I can. I guess I can, yeah. Well, let's talk about depression, you know. Depression is like pushing love down, you know. Uh, one of the things that there was a time in my maybe early sobriety, 2 or 3 years sober or something. I was living at my mom's house, sleeping on the floor by the fireplace in the front, in the family room. It was a Christmas Eve, and I have 4 kids. They're at the ex-wife's house, and and I woke up like at 2 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning, and I felt terrible. I was so depressed. Nothing was going right for me. And I was still smoking cigarettes at the time, and I'm clean and sober. And I went outside and had a cigarette, and I had to find something to be grateful for. And you know what I was grateful for? For the next breath that I took. I went out there, and and I said, "Thank you, God," because I'm still alive. I got somebody that's creating a little. Where are you, Henry? Henry, what are you doing? Where are you? Oh, there you are. You got some camera time to smile. What about that smile? Look at that. That's something else, huh? Yeah, I know. Yeah. He dropped the ball in the bucket, so he's gonna have to wait. He's gonna be depressed now because if I can't throw him the ball, you know. Henry, get out of here. Go on. But anyway, here, sit. Just lay down. Be quiet. You know, dog's man's best friend, you know, especially if you're divorced, huh? But I lost my train of thought now because my dog, you know, man's best friend. At least I have a friend, you know. You know, that'd be depressing if you didn't have no friends, huh? You know, but, I know what I was talking about. You know, my first sponsor, Ed, he used to talk about the philometer. You know, the philometer was like a spring, you know. It had like a thermometer, but it measured your feelings, you know. And when you're feeling bad, you're pushing down on the spring, you know. If you just you know, like, stop pushing down, you automatically go up, you know. So you know, that's a good feeling or a bad feeling. You know, if you're having bad feelings, you're pushing down, you know. And so don't push down, you know. Just stop pushing, and you will automatically go up. That's the philometer, you know. And thank you, Ed Kirsty, you know, for that one. Anyway, it's 6 minutes and 42 seconds into this video. That I can't prove that I love you. I could tell you that I get a good feeling, you know. Yeah, and this is therapeutic for me too, because I don't often look in the mirror, but when I'm doing this, I'm looking in the mirror because I'm looking at the video. I see my face. I see my ugly mug, you know, and there's a lot of stuff in my garage, and I still got, you know, the drawers and the chair over there, and, you know, but anyway, do something for somebody else for fun or for free because you want to, and stop pushing down, and you automatically go up. And to my grandkids, any questions or concerns, you know, you don't understand something, you know, do your due diligence, you know, contempt prior to investigation. You know, don't get upset about something unless you thoroughly, you know, investigate it, you know. I guess the president might have done something silly today and piss off a lot of people. But, you know, that's politics, you know. And I guess it must be tough being a politician, you know, because there's a different type of love and different type of happiness with that, you know. And money cannot buy happiness. It's an inside job. Anyway, God bless. See you tomorrow.